Hi, I'm not out of darts. Alright, so all joking aside, these are two super slick, ultra custom Jupiters from my friend Out of Darts. Now, for the purposes of this video, because he is my friend, and I will mess it up if I don't, I'm gonna call him Luke. I might have been accidentally responsible for outing him as Luke like a year or so ago, for which I'm sorry. Sorry, Luke. Anyway, over that last year, like, Luke's business has exploded. So outofdarts.com has become one of the premier websites to purchase aftermarket materials of all sorts for the nerfing hobby. And this is no different. So just as a recap, he sells cages, batteries, kits, magazines, screws, all sorts of bits and bobs, including my own bits and bobs. He sells Tooth and Nail and the Nyx cage, for which I am very grateful. Now, this is the Jupiter. Now, the Jupiter is an entirely 3D printed blaster using parts from various different places in the aftermarket hobby, but mostly Luke stuff printed on his farm of Prusa Mark IIIs at his workshop / shipping department somewhere out in, I think, Washington. At this point, I know that he left California. So what is this? Well, it's a fully automatic but easy to stagger fire super compact rival pistol. And before we talk too terribly much about what makes this beat and what makes it work and why it's a cool product, even though it's a very expensive product, we're going to demonstrate what makes it special. So you slam that home. That's pretty fast. So I made one for my good buddy Spam. He has a channel for YouTube stuff as well. And I made one for myself. Now, these have quickly become kind of our default colors, so I do just want to touch on it really quick. Out of Darts offers this in, I think, 12 different main body colors, and neither one of them are these. These are special filaments from Filamentum, which is what I print pretty much all of my stuff in. This is an entirely Filamentum build of wood and gold matters. This is, I think, iron red. I think this is cobalt blue, and then of course everything's better in vertigo gray, so the handles are done up in vertigo gray. I just really like this filament, and then the accenting is the same gold matters up there. But I just wanted to point that out. If you want these exact colors, maybe someday Luke will offer custom colors, but this was very much a special favor for Spam and I that we sincerely appreciate, because pretty much all of my blasters match this at this point, and that is really cool in and of itself. So what makes these so interesting? Well, for $100 you get a full kit. I'll show you the insides now. Alright guys, so obviously that was a really cool display of Jupiter goodness, but we're actually right here, and I just finished building my personal Jupiter, and I kind of want to explain some of the things if you choose to buy yours as a kit. So first off, the handle comes off before you can interact with this, and then second off, this is like sandwiched in between, but you only sink 4 screws through the entirety of the shell. So don't fool with like trying to screw the flywheel cage in. The worker flywheels align with this little itty bitty pusher motor here, which acts to kind of peel the balls out of the magazine. They realistically nest up against this, and then as it rotates slowly, they get pushed into the flywheel, which leads to pretty snappy rate of fire. Now, the wiring diagram that Luke has is great. I'm going to like link to his video in the description box below, but this is like the same wiring diagram. I just am peeling my wires around differently. I did not like the spaces. The Jupiter is very ergonomically nice once it's done, but it's also like super tight in terms of its cable management here. So you can see we barely have room to fit all of our stuff leading up into these channels. And as such, I had to modify a few things. So like I heat formed my trigger just a little bit to make sure that it was going to be perfectly snappy. And then this one's actually quite good, but you have to bend this back a little bit. You'll note that like in its stock form, this would always be revving. So you have to bend this just like 30 degrees that way. The wiring is quite simple. Luke does this slightly differently, but I like to splice in to my pusher motor here and then pull all of this through. But all we have left to do is connect to an XT60 connector coming through here, and it should be good to go. I just really wanted to show you guys the build process. I did this one live on my Twitch, twitch.tv/VampireDrac, and I think it took me about 2 hours to build it start to finish. However, it was the second one that I built. You guys can see here I did do Spam's first. So the RVB Jupiters took probably about like an average of 3 hours to do 2 of them, but ultra slick design. Cable management is a little bit tricky. Wire diagram is good, and since he locks the motors in, this orientation should be consistent for you. Positive towards the magazine, negative towards the front. And then however you want to tease this into the space around the muzzle is completely up to you. Let's jump back into the workshop and show you these guys in dual wield fashion. And so hopefully that kind of gives you an idea. You get 2 Fang revamped motors, which are awesome motors that power this beast. You get a fully 3D printed cage that's proprietary for the system and to fire rival balls. You get a separate motor that automatically kind of fits into that cage and pushes the balls from the magazine into the flywheels. You get the 2 switches, heat shrink that's fit to everything, wires that are the almost exact length, XT60 connectors that are again almost the exact length, and little bits and bobs that kind of hold it together, along with all the screws that chew into this plastic and cinch it into a seriously solid blaster. Now, I mean, that is super cool. The only thing moving around is the Graphene 950 up top, sitting in this like little battery tray area up here. But these are really, really cool blasters. Now it took me, I built Spams first. I built both of these live on my Twitch, twitch.tv/VampireDrac over the course of this week. This one I think took me about 3.5 hours to build, and this one I had it down to under 2. So once you've built one, they're easier to build more, although honestly I think that half the fun of this blaster is building it yourself. I know that that's a departure from some blasters, but like the coolest thing about the nerfing hobby, and one reason that I've been so passionate about this channel, is that like this channel has allowed me to teach through fun the next generation of tinkerers and engineers, and products like this are a perfect example of why. It's like everything that you need to build your own blaster, start to finish from scratch. And that's really, really special and really cool. The fact that over the course of around 3.5 hours, you can have the same blaster assembly kind of experience as like multi-billion-dollar companies do in factories, admittedly much faster across the world, like that is really special. And so not only do you get the blaster at the end, which is like, I don't know, there's a lot of ways that you could detract from this. You could say that it's a $100 Hera. You could say that it's a $100 Zeus. I think that its rate of fire is admittedly higher than either of those blasters in full auto, and it's like far more compact. It also has the added benefit of being the muzzle for a proton pack if you ever wanted to upgrade. I know that in 2019, hopefully by End War, Luke will have proton pack upgrades that you can attach to your Jupiter so that you just have a backpack of balls instead of these. But dual wielding them feels ultra crazy slick. Like you feel very much like you could be Iron Manning, I guess. Like you could That was an entire room of coverage, like pow, 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 pow. They're very, very cool. They also hold the 7-rounders, but the expense aside, like you're paying a pretty fair price if you break it down. The 2 Fang revamps, a full cage, 2 switches, the wire, like everything that goes into it, plus you're getting a shell. Like it's not a bad price for a blaster, but what it really is it's a STEM toy at this point. That's science, technology, engineering, and mechanics. I'm not actually sure what STEM stands for, which is crazy because I used to teach STEM. I used to teach robotics courses, guys. That's neither here nor there. This is a really cool kit. Like I love what it does from an educational toy perspective, and I love like it in general. Like it's a dope blaster in and of itself. So you get the experience of building it, and then you get the experience of unloading it. Omnidirectional ammo is sweet. The detents in here that hold the rounds are supposed to be good for like hundreds and hundreds of loadings and unloadings, which is excellent. They're also, I think, reinforced. In fact, I'm positive they're reinforced, and Luke does that for you. That would be the only part that I think is tricky necessarily, but handsome blasters, good clean prints. Like obviously Luke has his Prusa's dialed in to do this very well at this point, but these are ultra sweet blasters. You can find them at outofdarts.com. I'll put a link in the description box to where you can get a Jupiter kit of your own. And if you're not into the STEM aspect of the hobby, if you just are like, that's a cool blaster, I want to buy one, I think that he has those available as well at a premium. So I think he has pre-built ones for $150 I think. But that is the Jupiter. It's definitely our hobby's like coolest right now 3D printed blaster for rival rounds. Like it is a very sweet, very compact little shell, and I dig it. Also, I like building it. So if you guys want to see more of like builds like this, obviously I wanted to include a quick segment, but it would have been 3 hours of filming to get you a full build guide for it. Luke has an amazing guide. Originally I was going to do a full mod guide for this, but he has an hour-long build guide for this, which is like ad nauseum explanations of literally every little facet. I did mine a little bit differently, so you could always use my quick segment there if you like my wiring harness and where I do the cable management. But ultimately, it's kind of how you want to do it, and that's half the fun of STEM, is learning and tweaking and tinkering and making yours work for you. But ultimately, super duper sweet. You can always check me out building Nerf blasters and crushing noobs on twitch.tv/VampireDrac. Luke's links will be in the description box below. That link will be in the description box below. Huge thank you to Luke for printing ours off in custom colors. These are going to get lots of sweet, sweet SE&C field time. As always, guys, much love. Nerf on. Drac out.